everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This video is about my reflections and my review on Yoga, A Gem for Women, a book that has shaped the practice of many female yoga practitioners across lineages ever since it was published in 1983. So it's a relatively recent book. Book means so much to me. I have returned to it time and time again, especially during my journey to conceiving my daughter. Video is a part of a series of videos that I'm doing because many of you have enjoyed watching my reviews of other yoga-related books. And since this book is a phenomenon in the yoga world, I thought a review may interest many of you, especially because a lot of you who follow me are also interested in yoga and are readers yourself. Before we move on, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I make videos that can be valuable resources for you on your yoga journey. These videos are about my yoga travels and also books that I read and sometimes even yoga sequences. So without further ado, let's begin. This review is for Yoga, A Gem for Women. And it's a book that has had a phenomenal impact on me as a yoga practitioner and as a woman. So I wanted to share it with all of you guys today. So I wanted to begin with talking about why this book matters. And the reason is that this book actually treats women like holistic, wholesome individuals. Most yoga books or any other books on women's health, they treat women's health very unidimensionally. So when it's a yoga book, it may talk about asanas and why those asanas are good for women and why women should practice. But this book treats the woman as the main subject and how yoga can help her. So she talks about all the phases of a woman's life, from fertility, to menopause. And I particularly looked at it, during my pregnancy journey and then during postpartum. Even now, that's what makes this book really different. Just now that a lot of people have spoken about it openly, and also postpartum. At the time this book was written, these weren't things that were talked about so openly. So I feel like this book urges women to be more accepting of their bodies and more gentle with their bodies and more understanding also with themselves. And I think that's a lesson which is still relevant. Understand that before this book was published, there were very few books written about yoga for women because society was very different back then. Menstruation, menopause, these things weren't spoken of openly. And so clearly there were hardly any books about it. And think about what a visionary Geeta Iyengar was when to use her voice to highlight women's health and the issues that women, deal with. So when I thought about it from this point of view, I found a new respect for her. She was a feminist, saying very publicly that a woman's health was important and that it warranted an entire book. I also like the fact that this book is written with a lot of clarity and with a lot of honesty. It speaks very clearly about, women who are overweight, maintaining femininity for women, women wanting to look a particular way. So she talks very openly about these things, which might, in today's scenario, seem politically incorrect. And the best thing about this book is that it is still relevant. It is still relevant today. If a yoga practitioner were to pick this up and look at the sequences that are given, they would find that it is relevant for them today. So the wisdom that's in this book still holds good today. I have had this book for years. I got it when I went to Pune one year, and through the years, I have read it in bits and pieces. Like earlier, it was about like looking at the menstruation sequences or looking at specific asanas. So I've always referred to this book. I was having problems conceiving, and during that time, doctors started to push IVF on me. And that is when I decided to deep dive into women's health and especially how yoga can be good and beneficial. So that's when I returned to this book again. Because I had read it through the years, I was sure actually that there would be something in the book for me that could give me some insight. And sure enough, when I read it during that time, it did give me a more compassionate way of looking at my body, something which I think goes missing when you're dealing with a health crisis. Recently, I read this book cover to cover, and it changed my perspective even more. I'm sure I promise you that you will come to this book at some point in time, and you will be referring to this book throughout your time as a yoga practitioner for the rest of your life. So, what makes this book special is that it acknowledges that women are physiologically different from men, and that society also views women differently and therefore treats them differently. And it also acknowledges because of their position in society, they have different responsibilities than men. These responsibilities are especially towards nurturing children and the family. So she makes allowances for all of these factors and says that yoga is a way for women to live more fulfilling lives, to take care of responsibilities better, and such that they aren't harming themselves in the process. I feel like she prioritizes the woman above everything else. Even though she seems to be saying that you should be in good health to shoulder the responsibilities that society places upon you, I still feel that ultimately it is the woman that she cares about. She says that everything else will be taken care of if the woman is in good health. Also, this is one of the few books that actually adapts the yoga practice to the hormonal changes in the woman's body. So that you have sequences for menstruation, for heavy menstruation, no menstruation. It has sequences for if you have too much white discharge. It even has a sequence for the 4 days post menstruation. And I feel that this book is incredibly detailed. It's very practical. And it also, introduces you to the philosophical background of yoga. So I have not read so far any book which is as comprehensive as this book, especially about women's health. So let's talk about the structure of the book. The book is divided into three parts. The first part is the theory. Now, in this section, Geeta doesn't romanticize anything. She acknowledges the load women carry, the physical load, the emotional load, the domestic, the professional load, all the loads that women carry. And still, she insists that women should cultivate their health for themselves. So this is, again, the feminist angle. She is, I feel like Geeta Iyengar is the OG feminist. She's the original feminist, and I love that. I mean, who doesn't love a feminist? But she also shows the connection to yoga philosophy, so readers understand the larger context. So she actually establishes for readers the philosophical foundation of yoga by talking about like different texts, different yogic texts, even certain shlokas from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, from the Bhagavad Gita. For a lot of people, this might be new. They may not be able to be very comfortable, with all the Sanskrit shlokas, but she gives the English translations, and then she talks about how that's relevant to yoga and for women's health. So I think she does a great job of really connecting the philosophy to the actual practice of yoga. So we don't only learn what we're practicing, but why we're practicing. So she really brings the theory together like that. The second part of the book is the practice section. Now, the practice section is the heart of the book. So this is where you find the sequences for, improving your fertility, for menopause. She even has common health issues. And what I really appreciated is that she's not vague. She tells you exactly what to do for what ailment and also what to avoid. So it's very methodical. She has pictures to go along with the sequences. So if you go through this part carefully, I guarantee you will get a very clear idea of what poses you should do for your own health. Something that I really like about this section is that the progression is very logical. So it's not when as you go through the sequences, you don't feel like she's just inserted all the sequences in this part without any logic. No, there's a clear progression in terms of the complexities of the asanas or the depth of the yoga practice. Finally, the last section is the experience. It's called the experience. So the experience section is where she moves beyond the body. She talks about calming the system, the nervous system, and grounding the mind and developing inner strength, fortitude, and even perseverance to go through everything that life brings to a woman. So this is something that mothers and mothers to be need desperately. She's spoken about how pranayama and meditation can help. She begins the book by saying that, okay, women need this because of the different ups and downs of life and different phases of life that they have to go through. And then here in the experience sections, she's saying that, okay, this is very important because this helps you in cultivating inner strength. My first big takeaway from this book is that yoga is for all women. Geeta Iyengar, she asserts this over and over again. She says all women, whatever their age or phase in life, can and should practice yoga. She even says that women have naturally elastic or flexible bodies, and they can use this to their advantage in their practice. The most important lesson for me was that a woman over 40 should practice yoga because it regenerates and rejuvenates the body faster. And this is something that can keep you resilient through, menopause. It can keep you graceful as, your hormonal balance shifts. And I feel like and she's also spoken about how a lot of people think that if they are taking medication, then they don't need to really do anything else. But she says that yoga is a wonderful tool that complements medication that can actually enhance the effect of medication on a woman. So the practice of yoga is something that supports daily life, and she encourages us as women to look at it like that, not to look at it as something that is separate from life that you need to take time out to do. Yes, you do need to take out time for it, just like you need to take time out to do anything in life. So, but this is one practice that actually supports your health to be able to have a better life. So it supports daily life. So now, my second takeaway is that your practice must evolve. And this is very important. You should not be doing the same thing on a daily basis, day after day. So what you do during menstruation should not be the same as what you do during menopause. What you do during menstruation should not be the same as what you do when you're not menstruating. She offers clear do's and don'ts, and I think this is so wonderful. This is so respectful of a woman's evolution, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, psychologically. I think, again, she is foregrounding the woman in all of this. And now, my final takeaway is my favorite. So, a lot of people think that women should not or cannot practice advanced asana. The more intense the practice, the more the benefit. So, I do enjoy that kind of practice. So, ladies, Geeta Iyengar has given us permission to do all the deep twists and inversions and backbends we want. In fact, she actually says the more intense the practice, the more the benefits. But of course, keep in mind, the phase of life you're in. Otherwise, go ahead and try all the complicated, complex, challenging asanas that you want. Now, a lot of people come to yoga with some doubts in their mind, and this is my list of the top three doubts that I've observed that people have. So the first one is, I am not flexible. The answer to this is, look, start where you are. Over time, you will get better at it. I promise. Number two, people think, how do I know I'm doing it right? B.K. Iyengar once said that a good book is better than a bad teacher. So get this book and continue looking for a teacher until you find one that you resonate with. So the formula is books plus good teachers. So continue reading and continue your hunt for a good teacher. And finally, a lot of people ask, if I cannot do the hard poses, are there benefits? Yes, there are. And finally, I think that this book is a timeless resource for all female yoga practitioners, and everyone should own a copy of this book. That this book is practical, it's very realistic, and there's so much wisdom in it, as I've already discussed. I've returned to this book for years, over and over again. And I suspect most people who own this book do that too. That's their experience also, because it stays relevant forever. All, I highly recommend this book. I've been through this book many times, but honestly, every time I go through this book, there's something different that I get out of it, which is why I probably keep recommending it to everybody. Here's a quote by Geeta Iyengar herself from the book. Women need yoga even more than men, as the responsibilities thrust upon them by nature are greater than men's. And there's so many such quotes, such deep quotes and wise quotes in the book. So I urge you to get your own copy. In closing, I'd like to add that I'm sharing the Amazon link for the book in the description. I'll also link to a blog I've done about this book, which you may want to give a quick read. If you like the blog and if you enjoy it, do subscribe. Do consider subscribing to my blog. If you're looking to practice yoga and are open to online classes, send me an email and we can work something out. Also, if there's any other book about yoga, like a book in the same genre, spirituality, religion, that you're interested in and you want me to review, let me know in the comments and I'll try to review it. I hope you liked this new format of reviews. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video or my next blog or on Instagram. Thank you.